Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope that whatever you get up to today, Wednesday the 1st of March, that you have a nice and pleasant day. As you might have noticed, if you're a new follower to the platform, I have a lot of grammar videos that are posted on the page. I do so because a lot of writers in sub-Saharan Africa might benefit from these videos. I have intensely looked at the way people write, having done this project for about a year, and decided videos like this are helpful. You may wish to look through these videos, listen to the videos in your time, and look through the articles on the page to see how these tips might help yourself. There's another video that explains the 12 basic tenses in English, and I'm just going to build on that one today. What I want to do today, ladies and gentlemen, is to start inserting adverbs between parts of verbs. I'm going to make things a bit more complicated, but I'm going to show you how to perfect your skill. And I hope that by the end of the video, you might be a bit more confident using these tenses in your material. And as usual, if there are any questions, please post them in the comment section. We did say last week that there were 12 basic tenses. I'm going to try and speak at a slower pace. I identified the present simple tense, which describes an action that's generally occurring or ongoing when you're speaking. It might also be a scheduled activity. My example was, I sit in class behind Jennifer. Sit is in the present simple. Joseph eats breakfast in the morning. Aminata listens to AYV news every day. I did say we needed to remember that the present simple likes an S in the third person singular. I did also look at the present continuous. The present continuous describes an action that's occurring at the minute. I did point out that the present continuous tense has two parts. We refer to the parts of this tense as an auxiliary and a main verb. And I did say what we needed to be aware of was that the main verb ended in ing. You might have noticed that irregular verbs might change Y to I. I'm going to use a verb that uses ing. I am studying Latin at the minute, said Mamadou. Am is an auxiliary from the verb to be. I did look at singular and plural variations. Joseph was eaten when it started to rain. Aminata and Joseph were eaten when the heavens opened. To make things a bit more complicated, I'm going to insert an adverb. Adverbs can be placed between the auxiliary and the main verb. I'm going to say, Jennifer is always reading. Always there is an adverb of time. So just have a look at my other examples on the page where I have inserted adverbs. Ladies and gentlemen, I also looked at the present perfect tense. If the action started in the past and it may have just been finished or it may still be going on, we might want to use the present perfect tense. I have lived in Hampshire for 17 years. Joseph has listened to AYV news since he was 20 years old. Please have a look at the other examples on the page. I am going to insert an adverb to make things a bit more complicated. You might remember that the present perfect tense has two parts. You might remember that it's helped by the verb to have. And I said, I have studied. Jennifer has studied. They have arrived. I did use these examples to show you how you use has to refer to singular subjects and have to refer to plural ones. I'm now going to insert an adverb to make things a bit more complicated. I have already eaten breakfast today. You'll see that I have placed already, which is an adverb, between the auxiliary have and the main past participle. Excuse me, I'm going to have a sip of coffee and then carry on. So I did also say the present perfect tense likes to have a past participle. I did say that you shouldn't be confused by the word past participle. So wherever there's a perfect tense, you need to look out for the past participle. I did say that these are designated words which you might have to learn if you're a speaker of English as a second or foreign language. I'm going to go quiet for a second while you have a read of the examples on the screen. I did also look at the present perfect continuous. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you hear the word continuous, you expect to have a main verb that ends in ing. Continuous means the action is ongoing. So if the action started in the past, but it's continuing into the present, you might want to employ the present perfect continuous. I have been living in Hampshire for 18 years. Ladies and gentlemen, the present perfect continuous is made up of 3 words. We have the verb to be, which is now an auxiliary, and that's the word I want to introduce, B-E-E-N, the verb to be, the past participle. It now helps the verb to have, which is the auxiliary. So, I have been living. The main verb ends in ing. I'm going to be quiet for a second as you have a read of the examples on the screen. To make things a bit more complicated, I'm going to insert an adverb. I have already been living in Hampshire for 10 years. Ladies and gentlemen, you might want to have a read of the examples on the screen. The other tenses we looked at were past tenses, and past tenses are going to correspond with the present tenses that we've identified. I must start off by reminding yourselves of the past simple tense. The past simple tense is inflected by conjugating the verb with one word, which is a new word. I did say sometimes these are words which speakers of English as a foreign language or second language might have to learn. I ate Chinese food yesterday. Joseph slept like a log. Aminata kissed Mamadou passionately. And we're going to go quiet as you have a read of the examples on the screen. I did also mention the past continuous. Wherever you hear a continuous, you know you expect a verb that ends in ing. If the action happened at a specific point in the past, but it went on for a while, you might want to use the past continuous. Joseph was eating dinner when the heavens opened. Aminata was living in Wilberforce when she met her husband. You might want to have a read of the examples on the screen. Do you also remember me talking about the past perfect tense? I did say when an action occurred prior to another one happening in the past. To distinguish between the two actions and the time frame, you might want to use a past perfect tense. And I said that the past perfect is often held by the past simple. And I also said the past perfect might be held by an adverbial clause. This is because the past perfect doesn't like to stand alone. You might have noticed that perfect tenses like to lean on clauses or other verb tenses. My example will be Joseph had eaten all the cassava leaves before the guests arrived. Jennifer had finished speaking before her head started to hurt. Arrived and hurt are conjugated in the past simple. You might have noticed that the past perfect is made up of two parts. The verb to have in the past tense and a main verb which is a past participle. So all perfect tenses employed the verb to have. I had eaten. Joseph had finished. I'm just going to go quiet as you have a read of the irregular verbs in the past perfect on the screen. Just to recap, we've now had 8 tenses that correspond to each other. We've had the present simple and the past simple. We've discussed the present continuous and the past continuous. We've looked at the present perfect continuous and the past perfect continuous. And I want to look at perfect tenses separately on their own. So I'm going to say we had a present perfect tense and we had a past perfect tense. We also looked at future tenses. Future simple is always helped by the verb to be in the future. The verb to be in the future is the word will. Future simple employs the verb to be in the future plus a verb in the infinitive. In order not to confuse yourselves, I said it's what you use in the present simple. Have a look at the screen. I will fly to Lebanon tomorrow, said President Bio. I will eat dinner when I get to work. Have a look at the examples on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. I also looked at the future continuous, which by now you would know as with all continuous tenses has a main verb ending in ing. Mamadou will be fishing at Godrich on Saturday. In the present continuous, we have the verb to be in future plus the verb to be in the infinitive plus a main verb ending in ing. Will plus be plus ing. 3 words. Jennifer will be studying at Faber College University from September 2023. I'm going to insert an adverb to make things more complicated. Jennifer will definitely be studying at Faber College from September this year. Please have a look at the examples on the screen and see where I have inserted the adverb. Can you see my adverb is between will and the verb to be in the infinitive? This is why speakers of beautiful languages sometimes trip themselves up. Do you remember me mentioning the future perfect as well? You know that wherever there's a perfect tense, you expect to find a past participle. When an action finishes in the future, before or at the time of another future action, you might want to use the future perfect tense. Jennifer will have eaten all the apples by next week. Mamadou will have spoken to the head teacher by next week. Will plus have plus past participle. Now watch how these are fixed. Will plus have do not inflect. They do not change even when we have a singular subject. Jennifer will have eaten all the apples by next week. Jennifer, I'm going to substitute that subject with the word she. She will have. Will plus have is fixed. I'm going to go quiet as you have a read of the examples on the screen. I'm going to insert an adverb to make things a bit more complicated. Mamadou will certainly have spoken to the head teacher by the end of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to draw your attention to the position of the adverb certainly. You can see that I inserted it between the verb will and have. The two auxiliaries is what people might refer to these sometimes. And to finish off, let's look at the future perfect continuous. When an action is going to happen at a certain point in the future and it's going to go on for some time, to express duration, we're going to use the future perfect continuous. I'm speculating now. I'm not sure whether this is going to happen or not. I'm just speculating. I will have been studying Latin for 5 years by next year. Jennifer will have been living in Gibber Hill for 8 months by March. Will plus have plus been plus verb, which is the main verb ending in ing. 4 words. Please have a look at the examples on your screen. To make things a bit more complicated, I'm going to insert an adverb. I will definitely have been living in Hampshire if the floods hadn't occurred. Future perfect continuous. I will have been studying English for 3 years this summer. I will hopefully have been studying English for 3 years this summer. Please pay attention to where I have inserted the adverb. I will hopefully have been studying English for 3 years this summer. Ladies and gentlemen, there are also conditional tenses, which I might mention, but I won't go into depth explaining because I don't want to confuse yourselves at this point. In future videos, I might look at conditional tenses. And I hope whatever you get up to today, that you enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks for your time, ladies and gentlemen.